Welcome to the studio at That Nerd Show. I'm Marcus Blake here doing a film festival interview with Melody Gilbert and Rita Davern. And we're talking about the film Stories I Didn't Know. So this was a very interesting film for me. As I told you guys earlier, I'm Irish on both sides of my family. And I think when you start dealing with ancestry and really going back, there's always interesting facts and secrets that you find out. So I want to start with this. How did this project come to you guys? I'm going to start with you, Melody.
Oh, I think you should start with Rita because it's her story,
Okay.
and then I'll jump in because it started with her and then she came to me. So I'll switch it up there if you don't mind. Go ahead.
No, absolutely.
Sure. I started a project in 2015 that I thought was about my Irish grandma who immigrated to the US in 1887. So I have been going back to that community in Ireland she's from for 40 years now and building connections. And it's a very place I love a lot and people I love a lot. And so that was the focus at the beginning. And then after 4 years, I had a 20-minute preview ready. And it wasn't really a film in any way. It was just a collection of, footage and interviews. And but we got a grant. And so with that grant, I had been going to classes at Film North, which is an organization that backs filmmakers. And Melody was one of the teachers there. So I had known her and had gone to her classes. So I went to her to ask for help. Would you help me make this film?
Okay. And
you
Melody,
see why I wanted to go second.
I understood. Yeah. And let me guess, the automatic answer was yes, because you found this fascinating.
Actually, no. At first, I don't have a drop of Irish blood in me. I am a bit of a history buff. I do like history, but what I saw that Rita, I guess I will say this. I was very interested in the fact that we're pretty much all immigrants in this country, right?
Right.
So I was interested in that part of the story. I was interested in, what does it mean to be an immigrant and how does that affect you and how does that affect everybody? But the footage that she had wasn't what we needed to make a film, but I agreed to come on board and kind of like start looking at it and see if there were ways to make a film out of it. But several months into this, I just turned to her and I said, Rita, this is not about your grandmother. This film is about you. And it's about your journey. And your journey, she would say to me, what's interesting about my journey? And I don't want to be in the film. And she's very modest and she doesn't want to be the center of attention. I said, well, because I feel like there's something going on with you that anybody can relate to. It's like she's going out to look for answers to questions about her secrets in her family and the ancestors and what happened to people and what happened to her. I mean, we would have these meetings and she'd start tearing up and crying. And I'm like, what's going on with you? And she couldn't tell me. And eventually, little by little, I broke her down and we agreed to co-direct the film in that way because she had already started this process a long time ago. But I came in and said, let's try this. And it eventually, she opened up and agreed to kind of tell this story of her journey. And I know it wasn't easy for her and she's very brave. And I do feel like, this film is about inspiring other people to ask questions about where they come from, how they got there, and also about the land that their family settled on. And I think that is the main thing that comes out of all this. But that's another question.
No, I absolutely agree. And I admit I'm a little bit, biased because I feel more of a kinship to the Irish side. Again, on both sides of my family, and over the years with all of my family, trying to do the trace back stuff, you start finding out more and more stories. Like, there's nothing like your grandmother popping up. Oh, I found out so and so that we're related to killed a guy, and that's why they really came to the U.S. And you're like, what?
Yeah. Oh, Marcus, the other night we had a Q&A chat with Cucalorus, and this woman shows up and she held up a picture. She was like, do you recognize this picture, to Rita? And it turns out she was like a long lost cousin of Rita's that she had never met. It was this crazy moment. And I was like, oh my God, it's crazy.
You talk about the community that you go back to. What is it about that, community and where you're from, or where your family is from in Ireland? What is it specifically that draws you to it? Is it the people, or is there something else a little bit more specific?
There's something about, I don't know, we use the term cultural amnesia, but there's something about me that I wanted to find by seeing where my grandma came from and the culture there and the, vibrant lives, people who stayed and who made it through that horrible, horrible series of centuries in Ireland. And they're still there. And I was just so interested in what makes them tick and what are their lives like now, and how do they come to terms with what happened, and what do they make of USers who come back there
Right.
trying to find their roots, So it's been a great adventure. And I actually did finish the second film called Burren Girl about the Burren region of County Clare, and it's just shown in the Twin Cities Film Festival this month, and
Oh, wow.
the audience award there. So if you
Okay,
want,
I feel like we're gonna have to be doing another interview.
Yeah.
Here's something that I always found kind of fascinating, and this is something that I have an Irish grandmother who's 89 and finally moved to assisted living and everything, and shares these kind of pearls of wisdom in her own way. But she was always like, the Irish always have the best poetry and the best music. And it comes out of that, what you've had to put up with, what you learn from it, the struggles and stuff that add to your identity. And but anyway, what was we talked about secrets. What was probably the most surprising thing that you found about your family and going back over the years?
Wow. Well, always, since I was little, we always had this mystery about Uncle John, who nobody would talk about. And so when my dad died, I went down to the health department and found the records and actually read about his experiences and what happened in the mental institution and stuff like that. So that was the big unspoken, nobody will answer questions. Something happened. I want to know what it was. So that was the biggest one.
So I got time for a couple of questions. We're going to get to the nerdy question, but because I don't get a chance to do a lot of interviews related to Ireland, this is kind of new. So I wanted to ask this question. A few of our staff, one of my co-hosts on our podcast is very, very Irish, and we all grew up with Irish music and stuff. So I'm curious for you, Rita, is there a particular Irish song that's your favorite or that really inspires you?
Yeah, I love Galway Girl. I don't know if you know that one, but it's recent.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that so captures the spirit and
ever the perfect homage to Ireland by an American songwriter, that would be it.
Right.
Nice. Cool.
And what's her name who plays with him on that song is from the very neighborhood that my ancestors are from. So I got to hear her. Just wandered into a church one day in her hometown, and she was playing a free concert that night. So Sharon Shannon is her name.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so here's the nerdy question that we always like to ask all of our filmmakers. If you could have a weapon of choice or a superpower from within the nerd universe to fight the forces of evil, what would you choose? And I'm gonna start with you, Rita.
I think it's Melody's turn for this one.
No, starting with you.
Superpower. Wow.
I know you're prepped on all the questions you think we're going to ask about your film, and then we
Right.
surprise you with this one.
Superpower. I want a power that will allow me to just get through one layer of the defenses with the people that I want to get close to around history.
Right.
Just let me get through that one next layer so we can have a conversation about it. That's what I would.
You need the ultimate power of persuasion.
Yes.
Great answer. Melody, how about you?
Oh God, mine is so boring and generic. I just want the superpower that gives me money to be able to make what I want for the rest of my life so I don't have to worry about money. But, you know, that's it. And also I want the superpower to make COVID go away so I can go back out in the world
I know.
and have intimate conversations with people with a camera or without a camera. So either one of those would be fine.
I'm going with your answer because I was actually planning to go to Ireland this year, and then COVID happened. It's like, okay.
Oh. Have you never been before?
No, the past couple of times that I was supposed to go, things have always come up, and I've been a writer for 20 years and write a series about an Irish FBI agent, and I'm supposed to be working on the 5th book, which is actually set in Ireland. So I was going to go do research, and actually one of our staffers, she's living in Dublin now with her husband. She's like our foreign correspondent. So, but anyway, we didn't get to see each other this year.
They will welcome you when you get there.
Oh yeah, it's on my list for next year once we get past all of this. So.
I think that's one of the things Rita used to say all the time, that in Ireland, that it's always the welcome, and that we don't do in America so much anymore. And she found the same within the Native community in Minnesota, that there were so many similarities and also, you know, connections that she made with Ramona about that. So I thought that was interesting. But I hope you get to go.
I know, once we get past all this, I agree. But anyway, lovely film. I can't wait to see the other one that you have worked on, and it was very, very fascinating. And I know quite a few Irish groups that love film and poetry and books and everything that would be very interested in this. So something I could recommend to them.
Great.
Thank you very much for speaking with us today, and good luck with the film.